Hello everyone, my name's Don Osborne and I'm here to talk to you about online research. We'll only be going over a few topics today, and we're going to start with primary versus secondary versus tertiary sources, followed by the basics of searching, searching online, and then understanding your resources. The first part, source types. Now this is pretty brief, mainly that when things are published, they tend to be one of three things: primary, secondary, or tertiary sources. And from the chart that you see in front of you, you'll notice that primary is the first. It's raw data. It's really whatever happened in the moment is a primary source. That could be a journal article, an interview, a speech, a live video, something like that. And that is something that tends not to have been analyzed originally. The primary source was put out there in the world, and then later on you get secondary sources. And that's what majority of the things you will read out there are. For instance, your journal articles, the textbooks that you have for class, biographies, editorials, things like that. They all interpret the data of primary sources, and then they put them into something that you can read. And you see this with any type of nonfiction. The last is tertiary sources. Now that's what you'll mainly see through encyclopedias, or Wikipedia is probably the best example. A tertiary source takes all of the sources made before it and tries to make it easily digestible for anyone to read and understand. And you'll notice that it's published in the order of primary, secondary, tertiary, but the researchers do it in reverse order. You do the tertiary to understand the topic, secondary sources to get more of an academic feel, and then primary, finally, to review the original material. Moving on, we're going to talk about Boolean operators. So for those of you who have done research before on any database, they use and or not statements. And you're going to see that with these charts, I'm going to explain how they actually work. So for instance, we're going to start with and, which is the most common. And will act as the most exclusive of all three. Take here child and abuse. When I put child and abuse in a database, I'm only going to be finding those things where both those terms meet in the middle. That's what makes it exclusive. Now, on the flip side of that is or. And or is used for like synonyms and anything related that you want any term to be clustered together. So in this case, police or law enforcement, because depending on who wrote an article, you may have them write it as police or law enforcement. So in this case, I want all instances of where they're all together or all apart. It doesn't matter. That's what the or is used for. You want to be inclusive and put as much in as possible. Finally, there's the not statement, which is probably the least used of the three, but still a critical tool. You'll notice here that we have crime in Europe. Maybe I'm doing research on, I just want crime in the United States. But maybe I'm finding lots of articles on European crime or crime in China or India or something like that. If I say not and whatever comes after it will be omitted. So in this case, crime, not Europe. So if I'm getting a lot of articles on Europe, it's going to omit any of those that have that word in it. Now, mind you, there may be some things that have other words related to different European countries, but in this particular instance, I'm just trying to remove that one single word. Now some helpful search tips. When you're working with any database, mainly an academic database, you can place a star on the end of a word that has a lot of variation. Take child, for instance. If I put a star after the D in child, it's going to try to autofill anything after that. Childhood, children, etc. If it's like computer, you can do it after the U, and you're going to see that it's going to try and autofill all those other words or variations. And that's a very handy tool. On Google, it actually works a little bit differently. If you use a star in Google, it will try to find a word. It actually acts as a blank field and will attempt to fill in that field with whatever the most common word is. Lastly, we have the quotes. If you put something in quotes, it's going to search it as a single term, and that could be multiple words. It could be anywhere between 2 and whatever words. And that's commonly used for things like places, United States, New York, New Orleans, George Washington, mainly like names of people or places or phrases. Anything that you need to search as one solid term, but it may be made up of multiple words, you put it in quotes. So now we're going to do a little live demonstration. So what you see here is the library database. It's the main page right now. And if you do an advanced search right here on the main page, it's going to take you to something you've probably seen before. The back end of every database looks pretty much the same, and this is no different. So what you're going to do is this is where you just put in your search terms. And what I suggest is, although you can put everything on a single line, it's better to break it up. So I'm going to go back and use that example, child. Oh, but sometimes it autofills, like you'll see now. So you have to be careful. The good news is the database does give you suggestions of the most commonly searched terms. So in this case, I'm just going to go back and do child. And you're going to see that I get 7.8 million hits, which is really big. And if I do that star at the end, remember it's acting as an autofill, and I'm up to 8.5 million hits, which is still an astounding amount. Now, I'm going to add even more in. I'm going to say adolescence. So child or adolescence, I add them together, we're at 9.6 million hits, which is a ton now. But now we're going to use and like I said, and is exclusive, whereas or is inclusive. So I'm going to say child or adolescent and abuse. And that's going to drop a bit from 9.6 to probably still quite a few million. Yeah, 8.6. Still really big. But in this case, I'm going to say child and adolescent with abuse or neglect. We're up a little bit more again, and now we have a lot to work with. My theory is you better cast a wide net in the beginning so you can understand what you have. You'll notice down here on the left as well that no matter what you search, on the left side, you can always filter your results, but you have to actually search something to be able to filter it. So always click on full text because that will give you the things you can read right now. And right now it's updating, so it's going to remove those that are not full text. If you need a scholarly peer-reviewed journal article, you can actually click on the filter as well. And the date filter will also help. So I'm going to do 2010 to 2020. Just give me the last 10 years. But otherwise, it'll try to give you every date of everything that's available. So again, the database updates. I'm down from like 9 or 8 to 4 million, which is still really big. But now I'm going to say I just want academic journal articles. But notice it will break down any source type. And if you notice, if it has show more, it means that there's more to actually show. It has different source types beyond the 5 or 6 that are initially listed. So I'm going to say cancel, but I'm going to say I want academic journals. And you'll notice on one search that the first results you get will always be books and ebooks. That's just the way the database is actually set up. Otherwise, you can just pick whatever you want after with the filter. And now you're going to notice here, okay, so I have my 2 million or 2.9 million hits. Still really good. And there are different ways to get every article. You'll notice that there's full text from Science Direct or full text finder. If we scroll down, you'll see PDF and HTML. Those are the 4 most common. The first 2 here, full text from Science Direct and full text finder, are just different websites that we subscribe to that have different types of journals. Some of them may require an extra click. I'm going to click on this, for example, where it says full text finder. That's that green dot. And you may get a banner just like this, and you have to click on the banner at the top. It says open page in new window. It'll lead you right to the article, and from there you can download a PDF, and normally they have the red PDF icon. Now, going back, let's just say this is the one I want, the one up here. And notice a lot of the terms were already hit. Child, adolescent, neglect. It happens to be about Brazil, but no big deal. So, looking here, you're going to see that access is on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, we have the ability to essentially send all the bibliographic data or the article back to yourself. There's a permalink. Click on the permalink, and this will actually get you back to the article each and every time. The link up top, the one that you would put in for your normal URL, that one is a dead link if you save it and send it to yourself. But the permalink is always good. No matter what you do, permalink will work. You can also email it to yourself too. Just put in your email here, click send, and it will send it to you via email. There's citation info as well, although I warn you that although it's technically the most current edition of APA, if you happen to be using that, the formatting may be off no matter what type of citation format you're using. So just be aware, but know that the majority of the information that is in here is good. All right, so let's just say we're going to go back to SU library page. We've done our basics. Now we're going to go a little more in depth. So we have databases here. If you click on that, you're going to see a ton of A to Z lists here of what we have. If you click all subjects, I'm going to go into criminal justice. And from here, under the subject guide, you'll be able to see what's most relevant to your particular topic in terms of databases. And the librarian will be always on the right-hand side. So that's a picture of me. And I'm going to start here under criminal justice abstracts, because that's probably the best database if you're looking for anything criminal justice related. But if there's more you want to add, you can always click full text, or click choose database. And from there, you can add whatever you need. So if there's something psychology related, you can add PsyInfo. Sociology, you can add that too. Click OK. And from there, you'll notice it says show all, which means that there's more than one database being searched at a time. Now I'm just going to do an abbreviated search of what we were kind of working with before. Child and abuse, just very basic. But I just want to show you that even with that, you're still getting a lot of hits. There's still the same type of limiters on the left-hand side. So you click link to full text, you'll still get that. And if for some reason you didn't want to do link to full text, the only option you would get is request through interlibrary loan, which is totally fine. It's a free service to you. Just log in through your SU ID. And if I happen to click on this link and log myself in, it would actually put in the entire journal article's information, so it could be requested. I will say that interlibrary loan is being monitored every day. There's no guarantee you'll get what you need, especially if it's really obscure. However, we do our best to find it, and it's free to you. So that's pretty nice. So moving on from databases, we're going to go to Google. So a lot of you will do Google to find some basic information or maybe some primary information too, because there's a lot of raw data out there, especially for criminal justice. So what I'm going to do is just type in Bureau of Justice Statistics. That's good. That's a really good website to start with. It has a lot of raw data about anything justice related or a justice system. And of course, there's FBI and CIA, but let's just say I want to do crime statistics just in general. Okay, crime statistics, there we go. Looks like we have some things from Maryland, and that's not uncommon because, if you're especially logged into Google, it'll try to get your regional data. So, if we were from the West Coast, it would probably be pulling up California statistics, that sort of thing. But in order to help kind of point yourself in the right direction, go under Settings, Advanced Search, and under Site or Domain, type in .gov. That will limit to government domains. And that could be state government, it could be federal government, but regardless, you will get that. Now, you'll notice right here, crimestatistics.gov, getting FBI, a lot of different things, some DC Gov, Maryland.gov, Rockville, and Bureau of Justice Statistics. There it is again. So this will give you probably the better stuff for crime-related statistics. Not everything's perfect out there, and I understand that. So your .coms and your your .orgs can be essentially purchased by anyone in the world. .com used to mean commercial. Well, it still means commercial. And .org used to mean nonprofit organization, and that's really no longer the case. It can still be that, but it's like a 50-50 shot if they are. And you'll notice here we got wikipedia.org, for instance. That's a good .org because that's a nonprofit. But let's just say I'm going to do prison reform. And there we go, right on the top, prisonfellowship.org. The one thing to keep in mind is any .org you find is going to be heavily skewed, and any .com really, because they're going to have some sort of narrative they want to tell, or they're going to be persuasive in one way or another. So prison reform is an alternative to imprisonment. It could be for any topic, same stuff. It could be drugs, it could be about guns, any hot topic, there's going to be a .org that's going to skew you one way or another. So the idea is take a look at what they are sending you. Like, what are they showing you? What statistics are they getting? So let's just click on this random one here. So there we go. And that's United Nations, so that's pretty good. That's a different sort of .org, and that is partly governmental, so they should have some good statistics, if they have statistics at all. Otherwise, the Marshall Project, see what they're showing you. Is it some sort of data or graph or some sort of statistics? If they have something to show you, there should be something at the bottom. Now, in this case, this may not have anything, this particular article, but take a look at what they have, because any good researcher is going to put what they have towards the bottom. In this case, there's probably nothing to show anyway, but take a look at the bottom, or sometimes it's linked right inside. So, usually these hyperlinks here would work and bring you back to something. And if they're not showing their data, maybe it's not the best thing to have. So that's basically where I'm going to sort of leave it, with the one exception of, since the librarians are all online now, and since basically the entire university is online, if you need anything at all, you can go to make a research appointment. If you need to, there's chat. We try to keep it running from about roughly like 9 to 4 every day. And of course, COVID-19 and library services, we're going to try to make the banner a little bit bigger, but if you need to know any and all of our services during this time, please take a look here. We try to make ourselves available in a multitude of ways. And of course, you can reach out directly to me. I'm at dosborne@stevenson.edu. So I am going to leave it there. And of course, just feel free at all, reach out to me if you have any questions. And have a good day.